All right. So again, welcome. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your afternoon to join us today. Welcome to the Masters of Science in Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health Fall 2021 information session. We are very happy to have you join us. My name is Laura Rodriguez, and I am the new student coordinator for the CABH program. And I'm here with several of my colleagues, including Dr. Jessica Rice and Sandra Dwinell, who will be assisting me throughout our presentation today. Today, we're going to be talking about the master's program components such as the curriculum, focus area, career prospects, and admissions requirements. We will also hear from some of our faculty and learn about academic expectations, as well as what to expect from the program courses. At the end, we will answer your questions and explain the application process. However, Dr. Jessica Rice will be monitoring the chat room. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put them in there and we will answer them as quickly as we can. All right, so let's start by talking a little bit about the University of South Florida. So the University of South Florida, USF, is a high-impact global research university that's dedicated to student success. Over the past 10 years, no other public university in the country has risen faster than the US, according to the U.S. News and World Report. We also are a relatively large university, serving more than 50,000 students in all of our three campuses, which are the Tampa campus, also St. Petersburg, and Sarasota, Manatee. Obviously, we also have a big group of students that take courses online, such as those students in the CABH program. And we were recently designated, which we're really proud of, as a preeminent state research university by the Florida Board of Governors. That places us in the most elite category among the state's 12 public universities. Also, USF has earned widespread national recognition for its success graduating underrepresented minority and limited income students. And also USF is a member of the American Athletic Conference, which are all things we are very, very proud of. Now, the Masters of Science in Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health here at USF is located in the College of Behavioral and Community Sciences, which is unique that we know of. There's no other College of Behavioral and Community Sciences in the United States. Now, CBCS, as we like to call it for short, was established in 2008 with an emphasis on behavioral sciences. It was home to the Louis de la Parte Mental Health. I'm sorry about that. I hope you didn't hear that. I heard a message from behind the scenes. I apologize. As I was saying, our college is home to the Louis Party Mental Health Institute, and it has 17 specialized research centers and institutes. The college itself has approximately 2,600 students with 8 undergraduate programs, 9 master programs, and 7 doctoral programs that are housed in our 6 academic departments. We also have about 8,000, give or take, graduate students enrolled in our online courses at any given point. The college also has an 86% retention rate and graduates over 400 students, graduate degrees annually. Now, like I said, the CABH program is housed within the Department of Child and Family Studies, again, which is within CBCS. And the Child and Family Studies Department was established in 1984, so it's been around for about 37 years. It's also home to 2 of the centers that I spoke a few minutes ago, including the Florida Center for Inclusive Communities and the newer Right Path Research and Innovation Center, which are 2 places where our students can gain some experience if they decide to join as volunteers or graduate assistants or any similar capacity. Now, getting into information about the program itself, like I mentioned before, the CABH program is fully online, and it will prepare our professionals to serve in public and nonprofit agencies and schools that work to positively impact the lives of children, adolescents, and emerging adults. Students who graduate from our CABH program go on to work as directors, supervisors, and case managers in places like mental health or in fields like mental health, substance abuse, juvenile justice, developmental disabilities, and nonprofit and child welfare agencies, as well as, in many cases, consultants in schools and early education and care programs. For those that are interested in continuing their education beyond the CABH program at the master's level, educational opportunities include advancement to doctoral programs in areas such as public health and the behavioral and social sciences, for which we have a PhD at our college. Now, it is important to distinguish that the CABH program is a non-clinical program, meaning that it does not prepare our students for certification or licensure as mental health or behavioral health providers. Nevertheless, those students who are interested in the field of addictions and substance abuse, for example, it may provide a pathway for becoming a Florida State certified addictions professional when combined with the addictions and substance abuse certificate, which we will talk about in a few minutes. However, again, it's not meant to be a clinical program. In essence, the CABH program will prepare behavioral health professionals that will understand service systems conditions and characteristics that impact policy, planning, and delivery of child and adolescent behavioral health services. And it will be able to promote prevention, intervention practices, and policies that serve this population. Now, as mentioned before, we are a fully online program, and because we are a fully online program, we have the flexibility to offer our academic instruction in what we call an asynchronous delivery. What that means is that our instructional activities do not occur in the same place or at the same time for everyone in the program. Our online format allows each student, each individual to complete the course material outside of the normal constraints of traditional education and also outside of the constraints of place, as long as you have access, obviously, to the internet. So this, let's see, our program, I'm sorry, I'm getting lost here a little bit. All right. Normally, let me just stay away from the script. So normally how we again work is that we offer our program 100% online, either full-time or part-time, meaning that our students, for us, full-time students mean 9 credit hours per semester. A part-time student means 6 credit hours per semester. And again, because we're asynchronous, you can come in and out of our learning material throughout the week as as it is convenient to you. However, that doesn't mean that we don't have any structure at all. So normally our semesters run from about 14 to 16 weeks, depending on the semester. Summers are a little shorter with 10 weeks. And each week is a module within our courses. And in that module, your professors, depending on the professor, will place the instructional material to which you will have access to review throughout that week. Now, assignments or exams, if you have any, those will have due dates. So those are things that you do need to turn in at a certain time. But how you prepare for your assignments, when you read for your assignments, and how you engage with the material, you have more flexibility because that's available to you online throughout the week of the module that you're working on. We do have 4 focus areas within our program. The focus areas are developmental disabilities, leadership, research and evaluation, and youth and behavioral health. The program also has 2 tracks from which students can choose from. Those who are more interested in theory and research can apply to our Thesis Track, and those who are more interested in the practical application of knowledge can apply to the field experience track. Now, the program has a total of 39 credit hours, and of those 39 credit hours, 12 are what we call core courses, which are courses that all of our students take, regardless of what their focus area is. There are 12 credit hours that are dedicated to the focus area courses, the ones that I mentioned before, the leadership, youth and behavioral health, developmental disabilities, or research. We have 9 credit hours that are considered elective hours, which are mostly used to complete graduate certificates or other courses that are going to complement your learning in the CABH program and that have been approved by your faculty advisor. And then we end the program with 6 credit hours that are used either for thesis or for field experience throughout 2 separate semesters. So the average time for completion for our program is 2 years. And the program does have 2 very important benchmarks. These are the comprehensive exam, which students sit for after they successfully complete their core courses. And the other benchmark will be the thesis or field experience, which after completion will lead to graduation from the program. Students must pass all of their core courses and comprehensive exam before they are eligible to either start their thesis or their applied field experience. All of our new students will develop a plan of study with the new student coordinator and their faculty advisor. And the plan of study will accommodate the student's schedule and will let them know exactly which courses to take and when they need to take them. So if this sounds a little bit complicated right now, please don't let that overwhelm you. Again, we sit down with you and we help you plan your course of study. Students are also assigned a faculty advisor, which I just mentioned, and this faculty advisor will provide academic advice and support all throughout the program, but especially through the program benchmarks of the comprehensive exam and the field thesis or field experience. Even though it only takes about 2 to 2.5 years for most of our students to complete their program, you do have 5 years in total to complete program requirements. So if something happens and you need to take a little break, life just happens, again, you have that sort of 5-year time frame to complete the program. Now, the program, I do want to mention now, just in case we have any international students, this program cannot be utilized to obtain student visas because it's an online program with an exclusively online delivery format. Student visas are only granted to qualifying students that are pursuing their education mostly in person and on campus. So that's an important consideration. Now, the minimum requirements for admission into our program are a bachelor's degree and a GPA of a 3.0. We don't require a specific bachelor's degree in order to enter our program, but most of our students have a background in psychology, public health, social work, behavioral sciences, education, or related fields. And that seems to give them a good understanding and a good grasp of the more advanced skills that they will be learning through the CABH program. In addition to just the basic 3.0 GPA and the bachelor's degree, we also ask that our students submit 3 letters of recommendation, and we do read these. So it's important to have them. Academic recommendations are preferred. However, we understand that some of you may have been out of school for quite some time. So if you can provide also professional recommendations, we will be able to accept those as well as we review your application for admission. In addition to the letters of recommendation, we will also require a statement of goals or career objectives. So basically, something to tell us about why you want to join the program and why do you think it is a good fit, regarding your career goals. And then we also ask for a resume because we value your experience. We have a holistic approach to how we admit students in our program. So we want to see what you've been up to, what you're doing, and how the experience that you have may or may not be relevant to the CABH program. And then we will also ask for a writing sample. So we are a writing heavy program. We mostly use APA, and we want to make sure that obviously we don't need you to be a professional writer, but we want to make sure that you at least have basic writing skills to enter our program and be successful again in a heavy writing program. GRE scores are only required. I think I saw this question briefly in the chat, and I'm sorry I don't have access to the chat room at this moment, but it did pop up. GRE scores are only required for those students that are applying and wanting to enter into the thesis track. And we do this because the thesis track is more research heavy. So we recommend GRE scores, and we require them, actually, not recommend, we require them for entry into the thesis track. However, if you are a student that is applying to our CABH program and wanting to enter through the field experience, the applied track, then we do not need your GRE scores to consider you for admission. And really, trust me when I say it doesn't affect you at all if you don't turn them in, if you're applying for the field experience. Sometimes we get that question if it increases your chances. It doesn't. It will make no difference. We only look at those when we are when the student is applying to the thesis track. Now, as I mentioned a few moments ago, our application process is holistic, meaning that no one component will hold more weight than the other. So the letters, the resume, the writing sample, all of those things are going to be equally important as we look to whether or not you would be a good candidate for our program. So we encourage our students, all of them, to turn in well-rounded applications, including, like I said, those strong letters of support. We prefer academic, or a combination of academic and professional recommendations. We will look very closely at your writing samples. Again, we want those to be as good as possible. I've seen that we've accepted before either a writing sample that you just wrote and you want to turn in as new, or a writing sample from past work during your bachelor's degree, for example. A resume that reflects all of your relevant work experience, including volunteering. Sometimes our students are candidates don't have direct experience in the field, but they've done volunteering that relates to CABH. So those will be looked into and counted towards your application to the program. We do accept students 2 times a year. During the fall, that tends to be a bigger cohort, but we also admit students in the spring semester. The application deadline for the fall is February 15th. And the application deadline for the spring is October 15th. I will ask Sandra or Jessica to jump in for a minute if they know whether or not the application deadline has been extended for the fall. But again, as of right now, the deadline for application in the spring is October 15th. All right, moving on, I briefly mentioned in one of the previous slides information about our graduate certificate, or I mentioned graduate certificates. So students in our CABH program can easily integrate one of 4 graduate certificates into their program of study. USF has hundreds of certificates, and you could potentially apply to any that you wanted to, but these 4 complement the CABH program really well. These are the Children's Mental Health Certificate. We also have, well, let me backtrack a little. The Children's Mental Health Certificate is very popular with those students who are interested in the youth and behavioral health focus area. Although, again, it doesn't matter which focus area you're in, you could apply to any of these 4 certificates. The Positive Behavior Support Certificate, which I happen to be the director for, in case you have any questions later on. This certificate is very popular with the students in the developmental disabilities focus area, or students working in the field of education. The Translational Research and Adolescent Behavioral Health Certificate is popular with the students in the research and evaluation focus area, or those students interested in program evaluation or improvement science. And then the Addictions and Substance Abuse Certificate, which is good for students that are wanting to pursue the Florida certification as addictions professionals. And I did mention that at the beginning of the presentation. The certificates, again, will enhance the specialized knowledge in the different program areas. And they are also a way to meet certification requirements for the addictions and substance abuse certification in the state of Florida. We cannot guarantee that that is true for certifications in other states. Now, most of our students, and this is very important to know, are able to fit their certificate courses into their plan of study for the master's using those 9 hours of elective courses that I mentioned previously. Now, some of the, well, two of the certificates that are presented here today, the translational research and the addictions and substance abuse, those will extend your program, but only by a little bit, only by 6 to 9 additional credit hours, which translates to 2 to 3 additional courses. To obtain a certificate, you will have to submit a separate application, but the new student coordinator and your faculty advisor can help you with that, and that's something that you do not need to do right away. You can add on the certificate after you are enrolled in the CABH program and have started courses already. Now, I do want to mention, and I'm sure our faculty will mention it a little later, but for those students who are interested in the translational research in adolescent behavioral health certificate, there are scholarship opportunities that can cover the tuition for that certificate if you are admitted into it along with the CABH program. Now, the program, like I said before, has 2 tracks from which students can choose from. The first track is a more traditional thesis track. The thesis track comprises 6 credit hours over 2 semesters, and students will conduct and design an original research under the supervision of their faculty advisor and thesis committee. The students will design and propose a thesis project, collect and analyze data, write the thesis document, and then defend the study before a faculty committee. However, students can be very creative in terms of the thesis project that they choose. So our faculty are very open to hearing your ideas and working with you to make sure that whatever you decide to do as your thesis project is relevant to you, important to you, and again, you can be creative in how you go about designing your research project. The second track is the applied field experience track, and this is the one, again, that does not require for you to submit a GRE if you want to enter the program. This track is also comprised of 6 credit hours over 2 semesters. The students normally work part-time during those 2 semesters, so that translates to about 8 to 12 hours per week, depending on the semester, at an agency or organization on a child and adolescent behavioral health issue of importance to the entity for which you're going to be working with, and then also obviously a professional interest to you as a student. Some of examples, again, this is very creative. These examples are not an expansive list of what our students can do as their project for their thesis. I'm sorry, for their field experience, but some of our examples include conducting a needs assessment, developing social marketing strategies, helping to develop a strategic plan for an organization, supporting program development and implementation, which is very unique and important to our field, and then also conducting community-based research and evaluations. Again, these are just some of the examples of the things that you can do if you decide to go with the field experience track. Now, one of the biggest questions that we get, and I'm sure if we don't have it in the chat, some of you are thinking about it, is where can I complete my field experience if I decide to pursue that track? We encourage our students to select and obtain approval from either their preferred site, agency, organization in which they will be completing their field experience. So maybe having an idea of where you would like to go when you start the program or soon after you start the program. But we have also established relationships with local agencies and organizations. So placement is not guaranteed, so we cannot say with 100% certainty that you will absolutely secure a placement in your time in the CABH program. However, because we have these partnerships established already, we have been really successful in placing all of our students in meaningful and relevant sites to complete their field experience. Also, because we are an online program, we allow for online, virtual, remote, whatever you want to call it. We allow for those remote field experiences, which were particularly helpful during last year and this year with the COVID-19 emergency and the lockdown. Students are also, in most cases, allowed to complete their field experience in their present agency or organization. What we mean by that is that if you work in a relevant organization or site, or whatever title. If you are able to, with a supervisor, identify a project or a group of activities that you can complete and are different from your day-to-day job, we may be able to approve that as your field experience site. So again, that's something that you would discuss with your faculty advisor, and they would help you decide whether or not it is a good placement, and whether or not it could get approved for you to complete your experience there. We've placed the link, and we're going to share this information afterwards, but we've placed a link to some student testimonials, and I believe they're on our website, and you can check what our students have done in the past, what type of projects they completed, and just their overall experience if you're interested. Now here in the screen, you can see a small sample of some of the sites in which our students have completed their field experiences. Most of them, as of right now, are community agencies providing services to children and families. We also have nonprofits, mental health agencies, and related agencies or organizations related to child welfare. The variety of agencies supports the variety of the agencies that we have built partnerships with support that creativity in the individual projects that I was talking to you about. So not ever are two field experience projects for our students going to look the same. We also, which are not placed here, have students complete field experience opportunities at HIPPY, FCIC, the Florida Center for Inclusive Communities, the Hillsborough County School District, and many others. And we have a more complete list that you can review on our website. Now, another very important question that we get from students when they are inquiring into our program is what type of jobs are available with this degree if I can't become certified as a mental health professional or obtain a license. So there isn't one single job title that our students acquire when they graduate from the CABH program. The CABH program will in general prepare you as a professional to serve in a variety of positions in community, youth, and family agencies and organizations, again, that are going to work to promote the well-being of children, adolescents, and emerging adults. Here on this screen, you can see a list of some of the examples of the types of jobs that you could get if you pursue the CABH master's program, but do keep in mind that this is not a comprehensive list. So for this presentation, we've divided it into different fields. So the field of education, and this is a list again of the possible types of jobs that you could get, like director of school improvement, program coordinators. We do have students that have graduated and work now as employment specialists. We have government and business or not-for-profit agencies. We do have students that are currently working, graduated and currently work as child protective investigators, caseworkers, or program directors. In the behavioral health field, we put an asterisk to both the addictions and substance abuse professional title and the life child specialist, which is becoming really popular. We put an asterisk there because for those two titles or positions, you would need to pursue additional supervised hours and additional course material to obtain your certification. But the master's program serves as a base program to pursue both of those certifications. And then lastly, students in criminal justice can also benefit from a CABH program, and they could work in areas such as case manager or child protective investigators, much like the government business one. Again, this list is available on our website, or you can email us and we can talk a little bit more about different types of jobs. Now, let's take a break from me. I feel like I've been talking forever. And let's hear from our faculty. Dr. Liz Perkins, which is the picture to the bottom right. Unfortunately, she could not make it today. So I'm going to start with our other professors, and then I will cover the developmental disabilities focus area afterwards. But let's start with Dr. Linda Callejas, which is the focus area director for our leadership leadership focus area. Linda, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I was having a little bit of issue with my mute button there. It's great to be here with all of you. Just wanted to share a little bit about the leadership focus area and my own background. This area of study within our program is designed to prepare our students to assume leadership positions, whether over an organization or in a department, for instance, and use the knowledge and skills that they gain in this area, particularly in public and private service systems and organizations that broadly serve children and youth with behavioral health needs. As Laura said, we have students that run the gamut in terms of all these organizations. We have students that are interested in or working in child welfare in schools and juvenile justice, as well as child and youth mental health settings. So the core courses in our leadership focus area help students to really explore the theories of leadership, research and studies, and these are generally geared toward corporate settings, so we really learn to be critical about our reading of research and thinking more about how these approaches are applied in very different ways in community-based service and treatment settings. So we read about the evolution of leadership theories and models, critical issues like the importance of equity in leadership and leading through crisis moments like some of the ones we've been living through that shape community behavioral health. And we discuss the relevance of these practices and skills that we're learning about to, children, youth, and their behavioral health. So we're also taking time to consider our own personal leadership qualities in the courses and focus on, how we'd like to develop those further. There are 4 core courses in this focus area. Just very quickly, there are applied leadership in child and adolescent behavioral health, contemporary leadership issues, both of which I teach, program development and implementation, taught by Dr. Anna Abella, and financing of children's mental health services, taught by Dr. Jessica Rice. And as I say, in these courses, we're balancing reading and discussing research and practice with assignments that ask our students to reflect on their own experiences as leaders, as well as to consider how they're going to apply these concepts and approaches that they're learning about either currently in their current positions or in the future as leaders. So just to close out, I'll talk a little bit about my own experiences. I've worked in the past in a community-based organization for 5 years, so I have experience in designing, implementing, and evaluating programs. And a lot of the other practices and skills that we talk about in these courses that I teach. So my hope is by encouraging our students in these courses to really do some critical reading of research and leadership studies in particular, and then thinking about behavioral health and how their own experiences and leaders, employees, or even volunteers, better prepares them to start to apply what they're learning in real world settings, right? Especially as we're all working to respond to the very critical behavioral health needs of children and youth. So, that's a little bit about the program. I'm very happy to answer any specific questions that any of you have about the leadership focus area, and encourage you to check out the webpage and course descriptions and consider how our program can enhance your knowledge and skills. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. All right, so next I would like to introduce Dr. Lana Yampolskaya. Lana, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, and then Dr. Tom Massey, who will talk about both the research focus area and then the research certificate. So please go ahead.
Well, Tom, is it okay if I begin?
Absolutely, go ahead.
I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, our department is really big, and although the primary focus of research focus of our department was children's mental health, it has grown tremendously. And from students' point of view, if you have specific research interest, you can really find anything you want. There's a lot of research that has been done in our department related disability, autism, early childhood, positive behavioral support, school-based mental health services. There's a huge area of research, and I have been involved in this type of research related to child maltreatment, child welfare, trauma-related issues, and of course, substance abuse issues. Also, I know that some of you might be interested in early childhood, but some of you might be interested more in adolescence, or some of you might be interested in parents of this adolescent. So you can either also choose some age groups if you want to. But what I would like to emphasize is that our research is very practical. What I mean by that is no matter what we do, we try to translate our research funding into practical application. Basically, we have some findings and, okay, what does it mean for practice? How policymakers, how practitioners, how caseworker or people who are in the field, people who actually try to do something, how they can benefit from that. And I think that's what unites us in a way, because we try to translate this research-generated knowledge into practice. And the last thing I want to mention is no matter what you do and what area of research you are interested in, you have to face some methodological issues. Basically, you have to know how to design the study, how to interpret the findings. Even if you read the research articles, some of these research articles are pretty complicated and they involve pretty complicated statistical analysis, and you don't necessarily have to know how to do it, but at least you have to know how to read and how to interpret that. And even if you become a director of an agency and somebody said, well, I want to do something for you, some kind of an evaluation, you really want to be able to evaluate the proposal and understand what it says. So what I'm trying to say that a big part of this program is methodology. And I feel kind of I'm not the only one who knows a lot about it by any means, but a lot of people, when they face issues related to study design, statistical analysis, they come to me. So if you ever enter this program and if you have methodology related issues, I'll be your person. I will stop at that and I'll let Tom to talk.
Thanks, Lana. So let me just add a few things to what Lana said. I think she covered it fairly well. First, appreciate you all joining us today and having an interest in the master's program. I think it is a very strong and unique program. So I think you've made a good choice, and so with regard to kind of the research and evaluation concentration, I know that's kind of a scary phrase for folks, and people shy away from it. But I would like to emphasize what Dr. Yampolskaya had to say. Our track in research and evaluation, I can't emphasize enough that we're really interested in, improving the quality of services in the community. The idea is that for all our methods and all our interventions, getting those new interventions into the community in a way that works is a very, very difficult task. And the entire arena of implementation science or translational science is really associated with not simply determining or identifying evidence-based programs, but getting them to work effectively in a community setting. And the issue is that there are so many barriers to getting good services in a way that function for the community, where the community accepts them. And, I don't want to divert myself into COVID-19, but you can see that there are a lot of communities and lots of folks who distrust the vaccine, for example. Why is that? They don't trust the government. They don't trust who's providing the vaccine. They hear information from different sources. Well, not to go any further into that, but if you think about intervention at the community level, if you're talking about migrant farm workers or communities that have suffered disparities in the past, they may not trust mental health professionals. They may not trust psychologists or social workers. How do we get the best services we can to the community in a way that they're important for the community? They fit the community needs. The community trusts them. The community is willing to work with professionals to get them operating and then to sustain them. And remember, unfortunately, behavioral health is not the best funded area in social behavioral services. So oftentimes, even if we're well intended and we have a supportive community, it's hard to have the funding or human resources or even structural resources. You can't provide a clinic if you don't have a building. You can't provide a clinic if you don't have social workers or therapists. You can't provide a clinic if you have bureaucratic problems getting approvals for a clinic. So all of these things enter into making behavioral health services successful. So when we have this emphasis in research and evaluation, it is associated with good research policy, good evaluation policy, good policy development and program development, but it's all wrapped up in the way that at a very practical level, we can bring improved services to the community. So that's the emphasis. I think the only other thing I can add, we do have a federal grant, and we have a great benefit that while we still have a few years in the grant, we've submitted for a renewal from the feds, and the idea is that we can fully cover the cost of 15 credit hours for the students who apply and are accepted to the Institute for Translational Research. And this institute perfectly parallels the research and evaluation emphasis or concentration. We use various words. Sometimes it's concentration, sometimes it's emphasis, and I can't remember what the right word is. So my apologies to my fellow faculty members for failing the correct phrasing there. Let me think. There was one other thing I wanted to add, and I've lost my train of thought. I know what it was. The one other thing that I think the research and evaluation emphasis might offer, we do have students who want to go on to PhDs in clinical psych, for example. And I think the thesis choice is a very wise choice for someone who wants to go to get a clinical terminal degree, particularly clinical psych. That thesis choice and the research and evaluation choice, I think, gives you one of the best foundations for that. And as you know, clinical psych and some of the other clinical programs are very, very competitive, and providing a leg up on that through the foundation of this master's program, I think is a very real advantage, a potential advantage. So the thesis track and I think research and evaluation may offer you some opportunities there as well. I'm always available. My email is probably available. If it's not already plastered someplace, somebody could get it to you if you have any questions. And I think I'll let some of the other folks talk about their specialty areas as well. Good to meet everybody, or at least share a virtual conversation with you.
Thanks, Tom. All right, and then I would like to pass it on to Kathy Soul so she can talk to us a little bit about the youth and behavioral health focus area.
Yeah, thanks, Laura, and hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm so glad that I could join you all today. As Laura said, I'm the lead for the youth and behavioral health focus area, and I also direct the Children's Mental Health Graduate Certificate. And I teach one of the core courses. It's the Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health course, and that is offered every fall. And also the family-centered interdisciplinary practice, that's part of the youth and behavioral health focus area. And it's offered typically every spring. And really with the youth and behavioral health focus area, we we have an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary best practice approach to providing mental health services for children and families with mental health challenges. And, we really value the including children and families as full partners in the work that we do and developing the programs and improving access to services. We know that historically there have been huge disparities across our country and globally in terms of who has access to services. And we value really looking at that, the impact that systemic racism and those disparities have had on our system. And just a little about myself, I'm a clinical social worker. So, that really guides and grounds my own practice and my teaching, and along with the system of care principles that you will hear a lot about if you decide to become part of the program. So yeah, and just like others have shared, if you have any questions, let me know about either the focus area or the Children's Mental Health Graduate Certificate. I'm happy to have a conversation with you after this at any point if you have questions about either of those things. All right, thanks so much. And yeah, I hope to see all of you at some future point as participants in our program, students in our program. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Kathy. All right, and then I will be presenting for the Developmental Disabilities Focus Area. So I'm the coordinator for DD, that's what we call it for short, and I'm also the director for the Positive Behavior Support Graduate Certificate. So much like the other areas, this degree focus area, the Developmental Disabilities, helps prepare professionals to provide services to children and adolescents, but in this case, children and adolescents with developmental disabilities and other mental health needs. So our students, through our 4 specialized developmental disabilities courses, they will learn things like how to use first-person language as an objective way of acknowledging, communicating, and reporting on disabilities. We make inclusion a tenet of all the courses that we teach. So we're going to be, again, just making sure that we prioritize first-person language and inclusion. Our students also learn to identify and address ethical issues that affect children and adolescents with developmental disabilities. They embrace collaborative research and ensure that family perspectives play a pivotal role in research, clinical practice, programs, or policies that affect developmental disabilities. So we go by the sort of nothing about us without us. So we want to include in our research and in our practice and in our policies the people who we are advocating for. So those folks with disabilities and their families who are close to them. We also focus or teach our students on how to assess the effectiveness of existing child and adolescent programs related to developmental disabilities. So know how to use improvement science, implementation science, or any other type of applied sort of evaluation approach to make sure that programs are implemented and are running adequately to provide the best services for people with disabilities. Our students also know the appropriate methods for informing and educating policymakers. So that's a big chunk of what our students will do through their practice and their research, helping to get all of that information into plain language that our policymakers can utilize, again, so that we can, the government can implement practices or policies or legislative action that is going to benefit people with disabilities and their families. Other things that we focus on through our courses are having our students be able to describe problems based on data. So even though we're not a research-focused focus area, we do care about evidence and information to inform our recommendations to policymakers, agencies, and other important stakeholders. Our students, like I mentioned before, will know how to evaluate the criteria needed to meet the standards of evidence-based practices for children and adolescents receiving behavioral health services. So most of our faculty in the developmental disabilities focus area have a heavy interest and have dedicated their careers to expanding evidence-based practices and using evidence-based practices such as positive behavior support in behavioral interventions and treatment practices for children and adolescents with developmental disabilities. So knowing how to use it and how to evaluate it is an important part of completing our focus area. And then lastly, and again, we are very well known in our faculty group of developmental disabilities for positive behavior support. So all of our students in our courses will receive information to understand the philosophical assumptions and research that support the use of positive behavior support and applied behavior analysis and interventions for children and adolescents with developmental disabilities. And a lot of the times our students in the CABH program with a focus on developmental disabilities that add on the positive behavior support certificate, which if you're not familiar, positive behavior support is an evidence-based practice to address challenging behavior in young children and adolescents. And it works particularly well for modifying or working with students that have developmental disabilities and also present challenging behavior. So all of our students will learn about positive behavior support and how to use it, and they a lot of the time work in conjunction with applied behavior analysts in their careers. And most of our students, after they've completed the program, will go on to work mostly in leadership positions that support developmental disabilities, system services, and supports. So that's sort of my pitch for the developmental disabilities area. We're almost done, but I wanted to give our academic services administrator, Sandra Dwinell, an opportunity to speak with you guys. Sandra, is there anything that you wanted to add on before we wrap up the presentation this afternoon?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. We can hear you.
There's not really much I want to add. You did a great job. I just wanted to say that I'm here and available for anyone that has any questions about the application process, the dates of when applications are due, because I know that can be a little bit confusing, and what is required. And then just general questions about the program. If you have difficulty knowing who to talk to or difficulty getting in touch with someone, I can help you with all of that. I'm usually the person who handles all the forms, all the processes, all the spreadsheets, all the good and fun stuff like that.
Good. Good. Yes, Sandra knows everything. So she is one of the best persons. I think you do. So Sandra knows most everything then. So if you have any questions, I've put her information here on the screen. If you want to reach out to her, I've put my information here as well. It is best to reach us via email. So that would be probably the quickest way, but I've put our phone numbers there as well in case you wanted to schedule a phone call with us and talk about the program. So Jessica, who's also one of our coordinators. Jessica, were there any questions in the in faculty, not only coordinator, she's one of our faculty members as well. You were monitoring the chat. Are there any questions that we haven't answered yet? And I want to open the floor for our participants as well. If you have any questions and want to either unmute or put them in the chat, now would be a good time.
I think everything so far in the chat has been addressed, but certainly if anyone has questions, we're here to answer those. You can still post them in the chat or just raise a hand. I believe everyone can unmute now if they need to.
Yes. All right. So again, now is the time for questions. If you don't have any other questions, remember that our deadline for applications is October 15th, and you can apply through our online application system at www.usf.edu. I do see a question. Do you need to have the GRE score by the 15th, or could you take the test on the 15th? I think that would be a question for Sandra. Sandra, do the GRE scores need to be submitted with the application by the 15th, or can we accept the application and wait a couple of extra weeks for the GRE results?
Hi. First of all, I see a couple questions. The GRE score. The GRE is required for every student who wants to pursue the Thesis Track. However, you don't have to have it at the time of application to the program. So you can apply and start the program as a field experience track student and then take your GRE. So no, it doesn't have to be at the time of by the 15th. And then I saw that there was a question about writing samples. Yes, you can submit more than one. There is a way, I believe, in the application online where you can submit multiple or extra materials, just like you can submit more than 3 letters of recommendation.
Good. All right. So summarizing, yes, you can submit your application by the 15th. The more complete the application, the better. But if you don't have your GRE scores just yet, you are welcome to submit them maybe a few weeks later. And then, yes, you can submit more than one writing sample, although only one is needed. Any other questions? Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Barksdale. I'm a first grade teacher in Okaloosa County.
Hi.
I'm actually in class right now. Everybody say hello.
Hi, everyone.
I just finished a positive behavior systems course with Fiddlers. And I know so much that I know now. It's like, woo, brain blown. But that's what got me interested in this program. I'm very excited. Do you think this is an appropriate place for an educator to be? This is my 17th year. I'm not sure how, I would use it further in my career, but I'm very excited about learning. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So actually, Fiddlers is one of our partners and projects within our department and the Florida Center for Inclusive Communities. So yes, I guess yes is my my answer to you. So what I'll do is that I can give you, I'll grab your information. I have your email obviously from the registration list, and I'll email you directly, and I can send you more information about the positive behavior support along with the master's program and how it fits for our educators. If you think that's
wonderful.
A good thing.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, bye.
Thank you. I see another question in the chat. We still have a few minutes. And faculty, I put it in the chat, but if you can stay a few minutes after the presentation is over, we have an important announcement for you guys. So faculty, if you can stay. I see another question here. How competitive is the application process? Do we need a background in psychology to get into this program? I have an undergraduate degree in journalism, so it's quite different from this. Jessica and Sandra, please feel free to jump in to help me with this one. But so our application process is very holistic. Like I mentioned, you do not need a specific bachelor's degree to gain entry into the program. However, you do need to have sort of a basic understanding of human behavior. So it may be worth looking into sort of reviewing what that is about before you enter the program. But it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a detriment to you because you have an undergraduate degree in journalism. You can certainly still be considered for entry into our program. Jessica, is there anything you'd like to add regarding background?
I was just going to add that kind of as Laura shared in the presentation, students are kind of looked at holistically. So if background, lived experience, kind of future directions where you want to go professionally seems like a good fit within the program, then we would absolutely encourage applicants, regardless of undergraduate coursework or degrees.
Yeah, and then Dr. Calle has put in the chat box that she has had previous students with similar background who have successfully graduated. Linda, do you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, I just exactly what Dr. Rice just said. Their undergrad degree was in journalism, but they did have some work experience with students in an after-school program that had to do with behavioral health. So that was kind of the tie-in, and they were very clear about that in their application, and they successfully graduated and have now gotten a job that is more in line with what they studied. So it's definitely something that could be a possibility.
Thank you. Good. So I think we have time for one more question. Is there anything else? Yeah. Go ahead. Soren, am I saying that correctly? Yeah, I think you're muted. Let me, or at least I can't hear you. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. So I have a bachelor's degree in human resources. I followed a master's degree in sociology. I did not complete it, and it's internationally, it was in the Netherlands. I also have a son with a developmental disability, and I work as a parent trainer for
Oh, excellent.
parents with children with a disability. And I would like to talk to somebody how I can like get into the program and how that all ties in, and see what the possibilities are for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to work as an international admissions counselor. So I can definitely help you with your questions about your credits from your home country, or well, I'm assuming it's your home country from the Netherlands. So I can help you with those questions, and then I can also help you with the disabilities, developmental disabilities focus area, which I think it might be what you're interested in. So similar to the other student, prospective student, I'll email you directly so we can set up a time to chat about it. Okay. And since she mentioned additional credits, we didn't mention this in the presentation. We can accept transfer credit hours. I think it's up to 9 credit hours of transfers. They do need to be approved, so it's not like they'll automatically come in. If you have a degree or not degrees, if you have a degree, you cannot transfer. But if you took courses similar to Soren and you didn't finish your graduate degree, then again, you could be considered to transfer in up to 9 credit hours if they are approved and they're relevant to our degree program. So that is all the time that we have for today. I really appreciate that you all took some time this afternoon to meet with us and learn about the CABH program here at USF. Please feel free to email us or call us directly with your questions. We are more than happy to help. Sort of going back here to the contact information for both Sandra and me. And then if you wanted to speak with any of our faculty members, their contact information is on our website, but you can also just email me directly or email Sandra, and we'll be happy to connect you with them if you want to chat a little more. Other than that, again, thank you all for being here this afternoon. And yeah, have a great afternoon. Thank you so much. And faculty, please stay behind if you can for a few extra minutes.